There's been a lot of talk recently about college football teams switching conferences, old conferences dying out, and the overall college football landscape changing drastically. It's a lot to keep up with, and if you are interested in learning about the consequences and background of these changes, you're in the right place. To begin, the current college football landscape is for now set up the same way that it has been for decades, with 5 main Power 5 conferences. These college football conferences are organized by region, historical significance, as well as affected by rivalries and opposing fan bases. The Big Ten Conference consists predominantly of Midwestern schools like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Iowa, while another dominant Power 5 conference, such as the Southeastern Conference, consists of schools like Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. These schools have been stationed in these conferences for decades and for some over a century. What is happening to college football at the moment is something called conference realignment. Essentially, it all started on July 26, 2021, when two of the founding schools of the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma, informed their conference that they would be leaving for greener pastures in the SEC. What followed was nothing shy of a domino effect. This announcement inspired Pac-12 schools UCLA and USC to jump ship and join the Big Ten Conference. Shortly after, one by one, schools that had been in the Pac-12 Conference since it was founded began announcing their intent to leave and join a different conference. So the question now posed is, what are the effects of these changes brought on by school admin and football coaches? And there are 3 major effects that will be most evident by the time these changes kick in for the 2024 college football season. The first being a dramatic increase in transportation for the student athletes who are arguably the most affected by conference realignment. For example, former Pac-12 giant USC has added 9 new Big Ten Conference matchups to their 2024 college football season. The student athletes on this team will have to travel an estimated total of 28,754 miles just to attend their in-conference football games. This is a 242% increase in distance the team will have to travel when compared with their Pac-12 schedule this year. Other teams on the West Coast joining the Big Ten next season will see similar effects. Oregon will have a 198% increase in their distance traveled, going from 14,000 miles in their Pac-12 schedule to over 29,000 miles for their Big Ten games. This will ultimately most likely be felt heavily on the student athletes in these schools, on the football players of course, but other sports teams as well. A USC volleyball team flying out on a Monday night to play Big Ten opponent Rutgers on the other side of the country is a pretty drastic effect. Another aspect of the college football realignment is the monetary incentive that a lot of these schools are pursuing through joining a more lucrative conference. The Pac-12's media deal is set to end in 2024. While money probably was not the sole reason for switching an entire conference, the Big Ten's extremely lucrative TV deals most likely were a large draw according to several college football analysts. The Big Ten currently pays roughly $60 million per school, but will increase to $100 million per school annually starting in 2025. These deals make large football programs like USC and Oregon a lot of money, while as smaller schools like the last 2 remaining football programs in the Pac-12, Oregon State and Washington State, are left out of the big kids table and are relegated to their own deals that they can make with TV companies. This ultimately just leads to a greater divide between school programs and competitive division of resources. Finally, one of the last great consequences of these schools moving conferences are the effects it will have on fandoms and rivalries with regard to geography. Recall the geographic relevancies for each conference. The way these schools are set up are not arbitrary. There are historical rivalries and traditions that fans who grew up cheering for their local colleges and teams will have to say goodbye to. For example, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma played their last Big 12 rivalry game this season before Oklahoma leaves for the SEC. It was a historical ending with huge upset by OSU, which saw fans of all ages storm the field for the last time in that matchup. What is occurring now is the ending of a historical chapter in the book that is college football. As big football schools pursue greener pastures, joining new conferences that may not regionally or historically make sense, there is a dramatic effect on student athletes, fans, and other entities. I now ask you, as a viewer, who hopefully knows a lot more now about College Football Conference Realignment, to make your own opinion on if all this hassle you think is worth it. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new today about college football.